Prince Harry wants to come back, not just once, and not just for a quick visit. According to recent reports, Harry is planning to return to Britain every few months over the coming year. And honestly, that raises an uncomfortable question. What happened to everything Harry told us about the institution he was so desperate to escape? Because this is the same British establishment Harry and Meghan spent years criticizing. The same royal system Harry described as deeply dysfunctional. The same environment he said contributed to his decision to leave Britain. And the same country where Harry has spent years fighting over security arrangements. Yet now, suddenly, Britain seems to be calling him back. And I honestly have to ask, is Harry slowly realizing that the life he walked away from wasn't quite as easy to replace as he once thought? Welcome back to the Royal Celebrity. And if you have not subscribed, make sure you do subscribe because as this story unfolds, I will be there to keep you guys updated. Let us start with what we actually know. Recent report says Prince Harry intends to spend much more time in Britain. The Times reports that Harry plans to return to the UK more frequently, potentially every few months, with a September visit already expected for his charitable work, including Wellchild. People has also reported that Harry intends to spend more time in his home country following the recent reunion with King Charles. And let us be clear here, there is absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to visit your home country. Harry is British. He has charities and patronages in Britain. The Invictus Games are returning to Birmingham in 2027. And of course, he has a family there. So the issue isn't Harry coming home. The issue is the contradiction. Because Harry didn't simply say, I don't like the royal life anymore, so I'm moving to America. He and Meghan publicly explained why they wanted out. They repeatedly spoke about problems with the institution. They gave interviews, they produced a documentary, Harry published Memosphere, and they made it clear that living was, in their telling, necessary for their happiness and well being. So when Harry now wants to establish a much stronger presence in Britain, I think people are entitled to ask, was the institution really as unbearable as it was portrayed? Remember the language Harry and Meghan used. During the Oprah interview, Meghan drew a distinction between the royal family and the people running the institution. Harry talked about how trapped he had felt within the institution. He said that without Meghan, he would not have left the monarchy. That is a pretty significant admission because it suggests that Harry's relationship with Britain and the monarchy was never as simple as I hate this place and I'm done forever. There was clearly an emotional attachment. And today, we are seeing the attachment becoming increasingly visible. Harry wants to spend more time in Britain. He wants to maintain his UK-based charitable work. He recently reunited with his father. And report says that reunion left him feeling energized and encouraged about spending more time with his family. So perhaps Harry has discovered something many people discover after walking away from something familiar. You don't always appreciate what you had until you are far enough away from it. And this is where I think Harry deserves some criticism, because you cannot spend years telling the public that an institution is fundamentally broken, toxic, and intolerable, and then expect people not to notice when you start trying to get closer to it again. If the royal institution was truly the unbearable environment Harry portrayed it as, why does he now want a regular foothold in the very country where the institution operates? If Britain was so dangerous and so hostile to his family, why are the regular visits suddenly becoming attractive? And if the royal family was responsible for so much of his unhappiness, why is the reconciliation with his father now being presented as a positive development? To me, that is a contradiction. Harry may have wanted freedom from the royal duty, but perhaps he never wanted freedom from the royal connection. And those are two different things. Now let's talk about something that have been central to Harry's relationship with Britain for years: security. This is important because we should not pretend that Harry's security concerns simply vanished. They haven't. Harry has spent years fighting the Home Office over his security arrangements when visiting Britain. In 2025, he lost his appeal over his protection arrangements and said he was devastated by the decision. And as recently as 2 months ago, report says Harry was reconsidering bringing Meghan and the children to Britain because of continuing security concerns. So this wasn't some minor issue. Security was serious enough to affect whether his own wife and children would travel with him. That's why the latest reporting are so interesting, because now we are hearing about Harry planning to come back every few months, And suddenly, the conversation is much more about charity, family, invictus, reconciliation, and rebuilding his presence in Britain. The security issue hasn't disappeared legally, but it certainly seems to have become less important in the public conversation surrounding his future visits. And that is what I find fascinating. Now, to be fair to Harry, his argument has never simply been Britain is too dangerous and I'll never return. His position has been that he wants appropriate protection when he is in Britain. And that is an important distinction, but critics can reasonably ask if Britain is dangerous enough for Harry to spend years fighting over security, why is he now planning to make regular trips there? If the risk is so serious enough to prevent Meghan and children from accompanying him in some visits, why does Harry himself appear increasingly comfortable to return? That doesn't necessarily mean his concerns were fake, but it shows us that security clearly isn't stopping Harry from wanting Britain back in his life. And perhaps that is the biggest story. Harry seems increasingly determined to separate two things: Britain, the country, and the institution he once wanted to escape. He may not want the old royal job, he may not want the old restriction, and he may not want to be a working royal. But he appears to want something else: access to Britain, access to his charities, access to his father, and access to his family, and potentially access to the royal world he once walked away from. And then we get to the biggest obstacle, Prince William. Because reconnecting with King Charles is one thing, rebuilding relationship with Prince William is something completely different. Harry's relationship with his brother remains deeply strained. Harry's memo, interviews, and public disclosure causes enormous damage to that relationship. And while Harry may be moving closer to his father, there is no evidence that William is suddenly ready to welcome him back into the inner cycle. That's why I don't think we should confuse Harry is coming back to Britain with Harry is coming back to the royal family. Those are two things completely different. Harry can live in Britain, Harry can visit Britain, Harry can work with British charities, Harry can see his father, Harry can attend royal events, even invited. But none of that automatically restores the relationship he once had with William, and certainly none of it restores the old position inside the institution. Personally, I think Harry is discovering that leaving the monarchy and leaving his royal identity are two different things. He wanted independence, he got it. He wanted to rebuild a new life in America, he did that. He wanted freedom from the restriction of royal life, he achieved that too. There was one thing he could not leave behind: being Prince Harry. That identity followed him to America, his royal connection followed him, his family remained in Britain, his charitable work remained connected to Britain, and perhaps most importantly, his emotional connection to Britain never completely disappeared. So now we have this fascinating situation where Harry appears to be trying to build a bridge back. But here is where I think Harry needs to be honest. You cannot spend years criticizing the institution, telling the world how badly you were treated, releasing deeply personal details about your family, fighting publicly over security, and then expect everyone to simply forget all that because you now want to come back home. Reconciliation requires consistency. And if Harry genuinely wants a permanent relationship with Britain and his family, perhaps the first step isn't demanding that everyone else change. Perhaps it's acknowledging his own role in creating the distance. So, what do you think? Is Prince Harry genuinely trying to rebuild his relationship with Britain and his family? Or is he slowly realizing that the royal connection he once rejected is still incredibly valuable to him? Because one thing is certain: Harry isn't disappearing from Britain. He's coming back again and again. And the question now isn't whether Harry is returning. The question is, how far back into the royal life does Harry actually want to go? And perhaps, even more importantly, will Prince William let him? Let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you believe Harry is genuinely seeking reconciliation, or is this another example of Harry wanting the benefits of the institution without wanting the responsibilities that comes with it? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn your notifications on, because as this story unfolds, I will be there to keep you guys updated.